Hey everyone. Oh my gosh. Go ahead. Go ahead. Hey guys, what is up? I'm Jenna. Welcome back to my channel. Hi. Go on. It's always as soon as I turn on the camera and start filming, my dog decides to love her squeaking toy. She was sound asleep like 2 minutes ago, but whatever. Okay, if you're new here, hi, I'm Jenna. I don't know how much I've actually talked about any of this on my channel yet. I want to do a deep dive into my experience working on a ton of different TV shows and movies, and also touch on how anybody can do it. So you can literally do it, minus the global pandemic issue that's happening. You could also be in a number of different shows, and let's go over all of that. First, I want to do a breakdown of what all this different terminology is that I'm going to be throwing at you, and then I'm going to go through each of the shows I've been on, how I got those jobs and my experiences working on them. What anybody can do is become a background actor, which is also known as an extra. Anywhere that they do filming, so major cities, New York, LA, Chicago. I know Atlanta is really big for it. Charleston's really big because Outer Banks is filmed there. Anywhere that they are doing filming, they need people to set up the scene. Anytime in TV and movies you see groups of people walking into class, it's all staged, it's all fake. And I mean, not always, sometimes it's not, but for the most part, it's all set up and planned. And sometimes you can kind of tell by looking at the background people, and they are very hyper aware of what's going on, and it's it's just not totally real looking, but that's not where your focus is when you're watching the show, so it goes unnoticed a lot of the time. Anybody can be a background actor or an extra. It's the same thing. You don't have to be an actor, but it's really funny because you will meet the strangest group of people. There's some people that think that this is their big break and that they're going to see the director and then they're going to be you, which maybe that happens, but more likely than not, you are bottom. You are there as the background. Yeah. Anybody can do it. The only thing I will say is that if you're going to do it, you need to have a lot of free time. Any of these shoot dates for different filming can take place for an hour, or it could be 12-hour days, and you don't really know that when you're going into it. You don't find out about the location until the night of. You really don't find out much information ahead of time. It's all very last minute feeling, and you just show up and you're there. So if you have a lot of free time, this is perfect. It's really cool to see the behind the scenes of how shows are filmed. And then besides being an extra, other things you could do are be a stand-in. So when the camera and lighting crews are setting up each shot, literally a 1-minute shot takes hours and hours to film because you need it from every angle. And instead of making these Hollywood actors stand there waiting for them to set up the lights, they hire people who either look like these people, have similar hair, similar height, similar body structures. That way you can stand in their place while the camera and lighting people are setting up the shots. Then as soon as they are ready to film, the actors will come in and take their place. This is really, really cool to do because you get to work closely with the crew and also the actors. So from doing this, I was able to meet a ton of really, really cool people. And you are higher up than the background people, so you're treated better, you get paid more, and it's an overall more fun experience. You feel you're more in it, whereas the background, you're just watching it happen. Besides those two things, sometimes there are options to do a car bump, so you can bring your car, you get paid extra for that. Sometimes they want people to drive cars. Sometimes they want to have featured background people, so it would be a close-up of someone working out. and then something else. So they are not speaking roles, but they are like a little bit more of something. In those situations, you're never like reading lines, you're never talking, but you can get paid more and you definitely will have a better chance of being seen. A lot of the time, if you're a background actor, you don't really get seen that often, or like your back gets seen for like 0.2 seconds as you're walking across the screen, and like that's it, which is still really cool, but it's not nearly as exciting as like I'm on TV, you know? Okay, so now moving on to my experience working on different shows. My first ever time working on a show was on Shameless. Well, no, it wasn't. I mean, technically, no, it wasn't. So the first time I actually was on TV, I was on So You Think You Can Dance. And from that situation, I was a dancer. And so I just like randomly went to go to one of the auditions and I made it past each round. And then I finally got to the on-camera interviews and the dancing audition, that's what it's called, the audition in front of the judges. But I was one of the few people who was chosen to do a bunch of these like behind the scenes extra filming. So the actual audition process lasted, I want to say, like 2 or 3 days. Then the extra filming was a whole nother day. So I met the crew at this like abandoned theater and we did a bunch of these other shots. I can insert little clips from that. It was a super, super cool experience, and from being on that show, I was talking to some of the people when I was like waiting around for the shots to be set up, and they let me know about these different Facebook pages that cast background actors, and that was my introduction into the TV world. From that, I started following these casting Facebook pages, and they just post information about how to send in and apply to be a background actor. You just have to send in like a photo and your availability, and if it matches up, they'll send you an email and you are good to go. You show up and you bring your outfits and they approve your outfits, and then it's a lot of waiting around. But my first show I was ever on as a background actor was in Shameless. I had no idea what to expect going into it. I've never met anyone who's done something like that, and it was really, really fun and super cool. The way payment works for these shows is it's a set amount for 8 hours of work. So typically it's anywhere from like 70 or 80 to 100 per 8 hours. And then if you go over 8 hours, you get time and a half, which is great. So a lot of the time you hear people talking about how they either want to work for an hour or they want to work for like 12 hours. There's no in between. The worst is when you work for like 7 hours or 8 hours, like on the dot. It's like, come on, you can stretch it out a little bit, give me that little extra. It's like pretty decent money. It's just very inconsistent, so that's something like, it can't be someone's like full-time job. I mean, maybe depending on the location, but it's hard to rely on as like a source of income. The way Shameless works is, even though it's like set in Chicago, they only came to Chicago twice a year, in the summer and in the winter. It was like August and December, I want to say, or November, to film the outdoor shots. So everything was always outdoors, out in front of the house, out like by the pool, out on different like college campuses. I can show like a little bit of like what I did for this one. I was seen in the background and it was just like really cool to see. It's unbelievable how long it takes to film such a short scene. From that, I was also background in Sense8. I was in the Batman movie. I was in Sirens, I want to say. It was that cop show that got canceled, I think. I've done so many things. Shameless was like the big one for me, and my experiences as a background like actor for all of these was pretty much the same. A lot of the time you see a lot of the same people at each of these different things, and so it's really fun because you get to know everyone. The really exciting parts come next. I actually was asked to be a stand-in for a lot of the different actors on Shameless. That was my first time being a stand-in. So the casting person ended up asking me if I was available to do it. I hit the like same height and look requirements that they were looking for. Oh my gosh, though, I was like an hour late, and it was so mortifying because like you are not late. Like that is not, you can't do that. And it was my first time ever being a stand-in. I had no idea like what was going on. It was not a good look, but it ended up being fine, and then I worked for a few more seasons. I think I did like 3 seasons as a stand-in. I did 2 or 3, and that was just so cool to be behind the scenes. I do have a couple little things, so like I have a script from Shameless. You can kind of see this is what the scripts look like. We were given scripts so we know what the scene is and what's going on. Shameless was one of the best working experiences. It was so much fun. If I have like pictures and like little clips, I'll show you them. I have like a couple funny little stories too. So one time we were shooting from the inside of this like really beautiful apartment in the city, and it was when Frank, or William H. Macy, was like outside in a dumpster, and he was like talking up to a window to his like girlfriend. It was the doctor, and there was a miscommunication between the outside crew and the inside crew, and so I went in for the stand-in part, but it ended up being they were actually filming. Out pops me from the window, and the director was like, "Who is that?" And it was me. I was a stand-in for a couple other things. I did so many different things. I even ate lunch with some of the cast members, and I would pretend like I didn't know who they were, trying to be all cool, even though I very much watched the shows that they were on. It was a really positive experience, and a lot of those days were super long, and so I made wonderful money from that. I think the stand-in rate was like $125, $150 per 8, somewhere in there, I think, when I was doing it. I was also Chicago, so I think the rates probably do vary from area to area. If you want to be a stand-in, I really don't know how you would go about it. A lot of the time, like, it's the same casting people that cast the background as they do the stand-ins, but once you get a stand-in position, they don't like to really change it. So I know one time I was asked to do Shameless again, and I said no because I was going to school, and then I was never asked again. So that's very much like how it works. Because Shameless was filming in the summer and in the winter, there were some days that were so painfully cold, and they were long ass days outside. Oh my goodness. After a day, I remember just not being able to feel my toes at all because I was so cold. It was so bad. After doing a lot of like stand-in and extra work, I eventually just sort of stopped and I went to school, and I one day saw that there was a posting about looking for I'm pretty sure it was looking for a blonde ballerina in Chicago, and I was like, huh, check. And so I like sent in my stuff, and I've worked with this casting group before, so then I sent in my photo, my resume, and for this one I did have to audition. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I went to the audition and I just knew it was for Empire and that it was ballet. I was like, okay, fine. And I went to the audition and ended up getting it, and I got a featured role. I was technically listed in the cast as like a cast member. My character's name was Anna. I got my own trailer, and it was the coolest experience I have ever done. It was a week of rehearsal, and then I think it was only one day of filming. From being a stand-in and a extra to being like the talent was super cool, because like, you know those director's chairs? Like, I had a director's chair to sit in, even though it was so much work, and then I literally got shown for like 4 seconds. Although, okay, so like I got this in January, and it was during sorority recruitment, and it was during like the first couple weeks of school, and one of my professors almost kicked me out of her class because I had to miss so much. But from that, it was much better pay, like crazy, and I was able to get invited to join SAG, which is the Screen Actors Guild. You know, I'm definitely in a unique situation when it comes to like me actually being on TV, because my two big things are So You Think You Can Dance and Empire, and in both those situations I was like the talent, which not everyone can do or will qualify for or will have that opportunity. But being able to be a background extra, actor, whatever you want to call it, is so cool. I definitely recommend doing it like at least once and just seeing like what it's like. It's not that hard to do. It's just a matter of like, do you have some free time, and does your schedules line up with filming, and are you in a location that offers that? If you have questions about any of this, like, I am more than happy to do story times to answer your questions. Like, leave them down below. Let me know what you're curious about, and thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.